Bonjour, everybody. Hi, this is Neshi Lilkatz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page and this morning's live stream for the card draw. Oh, good morning, everybody. It is a rainy morning here in Tomah, Wisconsin. I woke up to hearing the rain on the roof, and we don't have a metal roof or anything like that. And so for us to hear it on the inside of the house it's raining really hard. And so, and the thunder beams were here. And so it was, let's just put it this way, it was a little hard getting out of bed at 6 o'clock because it's so much, to be able to sleep through that, the rain and the thunder and, But I have to say also that the air smells so clean and so, the negative ions after a storm. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Good morning, Margaret Spooner. I'm so glad you're here. And Elise is here too. Good morning, Elise. And good morning to Mary Ann. I'm sure you're watching as well. It's going to be a good Tuesday. Tuesdays here at Star Nations is always really busy because we start the week with our shows on Tuesday generally. The third week in the month is when we have Monday shows as well. But Tuesdays are always busy, always have been. And so we have a really good morning here. It's a kind of, the adrenaline rush is what Tuesdays is all about, because I do this in the morning. Of course, then there's after taking care of mom and getting her all set for the day. And then on Tuesdays, we also have the house cleaners in and doing the live show. And then after this is Chakra Sessions with Polly Jo LeBay, which I 99% of the time I'm in the chat rooms for our shows. And then the afternoon is about uploading the shows that we've done to YouTube, and then it's time to do the evening show. So Tuesdays, busy days. I love it. I do. Elise is saying, love thunderstorms. I do too. Those thunder beams, those are my peeps. That's my clan is thunders. And Jocelyn's here. Good morning, Jocelyn. And Amy Daniels, good morning to you. Stephanie's here. Thank you for being here. Good morning, Jocelyn. Good morning, Stephanie. I'm so glad you guys are here with me. Thank you so much. And for those who'll be watching the recorded video, thank you as well for being here. I do appreciate the time that we spend together. I know what it takes to be able to set aside some time during your day to be able to be with us. And so we appreciate it. With the busyness of the day, and I'm beginning to see a pattern here on Tuesdays, is that I didn't have a chance to do what I normally do is I put out I post a picture, usually flowers or maybe butterflies, a cup of coffee, reminding people about the live stream starting at 10 Central and 11 Eastern, right? Didn't get to it this morning. I like finding the pictures for the day too. It's kind of fun. It's kind of a creative outlet, kind of. But so since I didn't do that, I was hoping you guys could give me a hand with it. If you could share to your timeline, or just even to one friend, that would be good too. And I'm going to do the same thing since I didn't get a chance to do that this morning. I'm going to share to the closed group, I think. There we go. Oops. Found us. That's always good. So I'm liking it, and I'm going to share it to the Star Nations Radio Network closed group. Morning card draw. Live streaming. Right now. And then join us. And then I got to pick the group and then post it. Good. Yay. Thank you for doing that. And I appreciate that. Since I didn't get a chance to do the usual promotion for it, I just need just a little help to be able to get that done. And we also have Jill Conrad's in the house. Yay, Jill! And Rochelle's here too. Oh my gosh, you ladies! I'm glad you're here. It makes me happy. All right, so the card draw. We're still using the Sacred Path deck by Jamie Sams. And what I've done is now I'm layering her other deck of cards called the Medicine cards along with the Sacred Path cards. And the Medicine cards are all about the power animals, the totems. And so now in the mornings when I'm asking for the energy for the day that's most important for us to know for the highest good, I'm also adding which animal is would be most helpful to help us understand the energy for the day. And so this is a card we've had before, the Great Smoking Mirror. It's about reflections. And see the artwork on that one? Yeah. It's about Jamie Sams, the way she writes about this way of seeing, and we're going to put seeing in quotation marks, is that it's about the reflections. And we have said this before, and there's lots of different ways of saying it in our community, right? Is that we reflect to others and others reflect to us, back to us, the things that Spirit wants us to be able to see, to notice. And so, and it's both positive stuff and also negative stuff, okay? Or something that you would deem negative. So when somebody says something to you like, oh, you're looking really good, or I'm so glad you're doing such and such, it's a compliment. Say thank you, right? Those are kind of hard to do sometimes. But they're also reflecting back to themselves something that they hold in high esteem in themselves, which is a good thing. And when we have a situation, an altercation with someone else, and they're either saying some things to you like you're not walking your talk, or you know how that goes, right? Or the gossip. There's a reflection in there that you are giving to that other person for them to see something about themselves. And we all know how hard it is to look at our own stuff. Yesterday in the card draw, Counting Coup, it was our opponents aren't necessarily another person per se. It is the emotions, the behaviors that are of our own, that is our opponents. And so when we can get close enough to them to look at them, to see them, to touch them, to neutralize them, that's a victory, right? That's counting coup in the modern day. And so when we're looking at the smoking mirror, the way that Jamie Sams describes it is that it's about the illusion, that reflection behind the smoke. Smoke and mirrors, right? It's an illusion. The smoke is the illusion. And the reflection is what we want to be able to see it. Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little of scrying, the divination of scrying. Kind of reminds me of that. So if you take a look at the card, in the artwork, you see the warrior has a chanupa, a sacred pipe, and he's offering the pipe up to the reflection. Actually, it's the smoke. And so the prayers, right? To be able to see it, see that reflection. And it kind of looks like there's two pipes there, doesn't it? So what does that mean? One that's being offered to himself and one that's being offered to the reflection. Because the reflection is really him, right? There's something that Jamie Sams wrote in here that took me back into a memory. And it was the first time I'd ever heard the term or the phrase, and it's a Mayan phrase, in Lakesh Alakin. In Lakesh Alakin. It's kind of like the equivalent to all of our relation or all our relatives. In Lakesh Alakin is I see another you and me, and I see you and me, and you see me and you, something like that. Loose translation. In other words, when we see the reflection that when somebody is in front of us, is that I'm seeing another me, and they're seeing themselves in me as well. So when we are compassionate, when we can show compassion to all our relatives, all of them, it doesn't matter how bad their behavior is, okay? They're still a child of the Creator. They still have that spark, the God spark, right? And so when we can offer them true compassion, we're also offering it to ourselves, because they're reflecting something back to us. And so as we offer compassion to them, we're offering it to ourselves. And sometimes it makes it easier to do it, to offer the compassion, but it also depends on where you're at in your soul growth and how well you receive. And so you're actually offering yourself compassion. Yeah. When I read that, and I was thinking about the In Lakesh Alakin, I was thinking that, sometimes we don't accept. We kind of brush it off. It's like, oh no, it's not such a big deal. It's okay. It's fine. You don't have to do anything for me. Or somebody gives us a compliment, and you say, oh really? No, no. I'm okay. Rather than saying, well, gee, thank you. That's really nice of you. I appreciate it. A lot of times we're not as graceful in receiving as we are in giving, right? Yeah. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? About when the In Lakesh Alakin, that, when somebody is reflecting, because who's ever in your life is reflecting something to you. And how do you feel about that? When you think, if you can, what's the first thing that jumps into your mind when your thoughts go in that direction about the reflection? Have you noticed that? Do you accept the kind words, the compassion? Yeah. It was something to sit and ponder a bit this morning. Drink a little tea. Let's see. Elise, I've always been drawn to turtles. Grew up loving turtles. Okay. Why are we talking about turtles? Did I miss something? I must have. I like turtles too. But why are we talking about turtles? Give me a hint, Elise. Give me a hint. What brought up turtles? So the In Lakesh Alakin, really what this card is about is seeing our own personal illusions, so that when we can see past the smoke and we can actually see the reflection and get some clarity about that, it's kind of busting our own myth. our own personal myths. How do we see ourselves compared to how others see us? Are we congruent with that? And I know that, sometimes we can't control anyone else's behavior, thoughts, or feelings or anything like that, right? But how often are we oblivious to how others see us? You know, and does it really matter? I think it does to a certain point. Because it's kind of like a barometer, right? It's kind of a barometer. Yeah, and some of it is the illusion of our personal myth is what Jamie Sams, how she puts it. She says, the great smoking mirror speaks of the reflection of self that are seen in others. Great smoking mirror allows the smokescreen of personal illusion to be pierced when the mirror, which is just beyond the smoke, is caught by a shaft of illuminating light. In that moment, those who are willing to look at themselves see the illusion of their personal myth. Illuminating light, piercing the smoke to see the reflection, the personal myth. Yeah. Oh, she's talking about the medicine cards. Okay. And Margaret is saying, sometimes I take the compliment, but not always accept it internally. Now that's the truth, isn't it, Margaret? Yeah, and so that's one of the reflections, I think, that we can look at is to take it in. What will it take to take that compliment internally? What is that around that piece? Yeah, because when we accept a compliment like that superficially, what is that about that? And I would be asking the question about myself, right? It's like, that was really nice, but why couldn't I take that? What was that about? And I'd be talking to my spiritual team about it. I don't get that. Why did that make me feel uncomfortable? Jill is saying sometimes it seems like projection. Okay, let's talk about reflection versus projection. Oh, reflection versus projection. So let's kind of walk through that a little bit. So if you are looking at your reflection in someone else, they're reflecting something to you, that you're seeing it. You're sensing it. Let's put it that way. You're sensing it. Projection usually happens when there's some verbal something behind it to describe it, right? When you're projecting something onto someone else. Okay, so seeing the reflection in this instance is us seeing it in someone else, and a projection is someone else is projecting it. Does that make sense? Let me think about how I can phrase that differently. Sorry about that. Then I went into a different direction. Yeah, actually, I'm going to get to the card of the animal draw as soon as we finish up this piece, and then I'll get to the animal part. Amy says, yes, I really noticed it at work after I was reminded that one many times is with people who compliment or are opposite places like work. Stopping to look at this reflection, some are horrifying when I examine it. Yeah, it's facing our fears, I think, in that reflection. We talked about that yesterday in Counting Coup. When somebody is jealous of us and they're reflecting that back to us, then we have to look at, what am I jealous about? Is there anything that I'm jealous about? And jealousy has a lot to do with ego, right? And so we end up asking ourselves those questions. What is that? What did I just see or feel? Trying to, for me, I like to try to get to the root of it. It's like, where did this start? How did this occur? If we can get to the root of it and understand it, heal it, learn it, yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes that is also the harder path. I've learned that. Margaret says, working on seeing the reflection. And Amy saying, yeah, it's so true about the compliments. Yeah. And Jill is saying yes about the difference between reflection and projection. I think the projection is when we're doing it to someone else. And the reflection is when we're receiving that mirror. Yeah. And the thing is that we always seem to talk about and put into words the reflection when it's negative. I know that there's some people say, well, I'm always reflecting something to somebody, and they're having issues with that other person. It's because I'm a mirror, I'm reflecting. Okay. And that's true. But we're not just reflecting just negative things. We reflect both positive and negative. I think it depends on what we place our focus on, our intention on, not to dis the negative and act like it's not there. No, that's not what I'm saying. Is that we spend a lot of time on the negative and we spend very little time on the positive. What do you guys think about that one? And Jill is saying, I'm glad we got this card again. Not content with what you just said. I think this particular card is difficult. It's a challenge. I think the way that it came when we were talking about counting coup yesterday, and now we're talking about the great reflection and seeing our own reflection and seeing ourselves in another person and vice versa. I think this is a real challenge. And this is where we get to count the coup. Are we brave enough to see past the illusion, to bust our own myth and to see what's really in the mirror? And counting coup on that. What Amy was talking about, and sometimes it's a real, she feels it's a real horror. And sometimes I think that that's the hardest thing to do. It's not necessarily, and I don't want to put it in a tiny little box, okay? It's not necessarily that other person either, because they're playing a role for us. And so if we're brave enough to count coup, to do that myth busting and see past that, the smoke, the illusion, and get to the what's really being reflected, that is a victory. Even though it might scare the hell out of us. It's like, what? How could it be that way? And once we get to the clarity of it, that's a victory. A lot of people wouldn't do that. A lot of people don't do that at all. What they do is they focus on the other person and how bad that other person is. And they talk about that other person, and not in a good way. They blame the other person. Yeah. That, to me, that's the easier path. It might cause more chaos and drama, and it looks like it's the harder path. But to me, doing that compassion thing, and truly meaning it, and because when we give that other person compassion, that's reflecting something for us, we're actually giving ourselves compassion as well. And for it to be heartfelt to give to the other person. Sometimes I think that's the challenge, and that's the bravery, that's the courage. Yeah, I used to say to step past the illusion. I want to step past the illusion and see what's really here. What's really here? The clarity, right? Amy's saying, nope, me either, but it's very easy to get caught up in focusing on the negative. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And Jill is saying, so once the smoke clears, we have the opportunity to see ourselves in another. But you said that there's a flip direction too. Yes, because we are also mirroring something for that other person. So it's going in both directions. That's why I got the term in Lakesh ala kin. I'm another you, you're another me. So we see ourselves in the other person. I think that's what you were talking about. I could be wrong. Let me know. So, Jamie, I think that when she wrote about this one, it was, she wrote quite a bit. There are several pages here. There's one here that I wanted to make sure I read. It's, she says, the great smoking mirror is one tool we may use to create harmony in all our relationships through introspection and self-examination. When we are not at odds with ourselves, the reflections we see in others will be ones of beauty. That's when we're taking care of our own side of the street, right? When we are not at odds with ourselves, the reflections we see in others will be ones of beauty. Yeah. And I think that when we put more emphasis on the positive reflections, that shifts the energy field, the frequency of it, right? So that when we are paying attention to the negative, we can still shift the energy in that to a more positive. Yeah, and I think personally, what happens is that when we see past the illusion and see that true reflection, and even though it might be something that we don't want to look at ourselves, just even the fact that you wanting to do it is huge. Because a lot of people don't. Let's see. Jill is saying the compassion part is key. I see that now. It's the essence of this teaching. Yes, it is. It is. She says, could you please write out the in Lakesh phrase? I can do that. This is really deep. It is very deep. And I think that's why Jamie Sams wrote so much about it. She says that people who use their creativity to find their personal answers will assist their growth, have discovered a part of the great smoking mirror. I think it's because when we're using our gifts, when we're being creative, it puts us in another, closer to our real frequency. And so sometimes we get those deeper understandings when we're working in a creative way. Those hits of clarity. And it's like, oh, that's what that was about. Yeah. And the application of the card. The application. She says that that you will see the beauty of balance come to the hearts of the people as they remembering their worthiness. All right. And she's talking about those compliments. When people see and reflect you back to you in those compliments, and it's a nice way for us to remember our true essence. Yeah. Yeah. Elise is saying inspired in spirit. Yes, exactly. And being creative, the word creator is in there, right? Yep. The application. The application. She says that the smoking mirror reflects the lessons of leaving the myth behind. You are what you decide you are. Remove the smokescreen that hides your natural talents or worth and stand tall. Recognize the areas to be developed further and begin that process. Begin that process. She also says that on another level, you're being asked to be a good reflection for others. Encourage others to be bold through walking your talk. We talked about that yesterday. And she says that the reflections that you see in others may not make you happy if you are doubting yourself and your right to be. Jealousy on any level only inhibits growth and wastes energy. On all levels, the smoking mirror asks us to accept light and shadow as equal. Let me say that again. The smoking mirror asks us to accept light and shadow as equal. So the light part of us and the shadow part of us is to accept it as equal, because we have the most profound soul growth when we face their shadow selves, right? That's when we're counting coup. When we face it, touch it, bust the myth, our own myth. That's our biggest soul growth. And so she's saying that it's important to treat them as equals because we need them both. We need them both in our earth walk here. She says the reflections we dislike can be worthy opponents who teach us to grow into our potential. Even our shadow side serve us by leading us through the trial and error to the true image of the self. Yeah. This is what they call big medicine. This is big medicine. All right. And Jill is saying no guidance of how to clear the smoke deliberately, because I'm guessing the smoke is the illusion we live with all the time. Oh, there's my answer in the application. Yeah, right. I think that if you can think of the smoke as that myth, right? And so we're busting our own myth to be able to see through it and to see the reflection. What is the true reflection there? Yeah, and so many times we're the ones who create the smoke. Yep. Another thing to be responsible for. All right. Elias is saying, often I create or write something and later have no idea where it came from, like the garden stone you love. Yeah. Yeah. True. Because I've kind of experienced that too. You know, the writing, sometimes with the drum making. But we do know where it comes from, I think, Elise. I do. It just doesn't come out of thin air, so to speak. We know that it comes from spirit. It comes from spirit. And it comes from our gifts. I just had a conversation with Jill about this, about gifts. And when we are using our gifts in a creative way, I think that we are the expression of the Creator. The experience that the Creator is having through us in this physical life, when we use our gifts, that's the expression, how we express through our gifts. Yeah. Jill's saying, yuck. Yeah, another thing to be responsible for. It's kind of like, I don't know. I'm just going to say this. A lot of people might take this wrong, but it's kind of like when you're going through a 12-step program and you stand up and you claim out loud, I'm an addict. Hi, my name's Neshi and I'm an addict. Or hi, I'm Neshi and I'm an alcoholic. Hi, I'm Neshi and I created my own illusion. I created my own smoke. It's kind of like that. I know I don't mean to make it light and flippant, but there's some truth to that too, because we're the ones who created it and we need to claim responsibility for it. I think that if we claim the responsibility for it, it might be easier to clear it, move it away. Yeah. Our own space clearing to get it out. All right. So here is the poem for the Great Smoking Mirror. Through the smoke, I see, looking back, another reflection of me. Mirror of my inner self, who are you if I am me? Mirror of my outer self, what do others see? Is it the truth in my heart or my human vanity? Eesh. That even the poem kind of goes right between, right? It's a direct hit. I'm going to say it again, if that's all right with you guys. Through the smoke, I see, looking back, another reflection of me. Mirror of my inner self, who are you if I am me? Mirror of my outer self, what do others see? Is it the truth in my heart or my human vanity? It's a good one. It's a good one. We're going to call this one Big Medicine. All right. Elisa said yes, but hard to accept one might be gifted and why me? Yeah. The why me part, that's why it took me 5 years to bring that medicine dress into the physical world, because I kept asking why me. It's that worthiness thing. Jill saying a joke, sort of. Amy is saying, yes, I don't think you can clear it if you don't claim responsibility for it. It's true. I believe so. And Lisa saying, Jill, you're overthinking a major issue with myself. That's probably why I feel comfortable with each other, is because I think that we all can do that, overthink it. And Jocelyn is saying, real good one. I think so. Let's talk a little bit about the hawk. Unfortunately, I have to be a timekeeper today because I need to go down and help Mom move from her room into the main living room so that the house cleaners can clean her space. All right, so here is the hawk. The hawk. I love that artwork. Jamie Sam says the messenger, much like Mercury. The hawk medicine teaches us to be observant and to notice our surroundings. And that life is always giving us signals, synchronicities, signs. She says life is the initiation. The big one, the main one, life. If you have pulled the hawk card, then right now a clue about the magic of life is being brought to you. So the magic of life. The magic can imbue you with the power to overcome a current stressful or difficult situation. You are only as powerful as your capacity to perceive, receive, and use your abilities. Now think about this, what I just said, in conjunction with the Great Smoking Mirror. We're talking about the illusion, using our gifts, the expression of them, right? You are only as powerful as your capacity to perceive, receive, and use your abilities. So if we don't use our gifts, if we don't claim them, if we don't embrace them, our personal medicine is diminished, meaning that we're not vibrating near our original frequency, right? And so that's part of the earth walk here, I believe, is to claim your gifts. And then how do you find your gifts? That's what the question Jill raised earlier this morning, in our conversation. How do you know? And my reply was, I think that our gifts are things that we can do, we find joyful, and that come to us easily. That it's almost like no sweat, you know? Some people are really, really good with music. They never really even learned how to read music, but they've always really been good with it. There's some people who are really, really good with languages, and they can pick up a language really easy, right? There's some people good with math. Others cooking, creating with food. And taking that maybe even further is the wildcrafting and knowing herbs and how to live off the land. Those, those of us who go to farmers markets to purchase from people who love growing gardens, the gifts. That's how I define my gifts. What is it that I find joy in doing? And it is fun, and it's like no sweat. It comes really easily. Those are the easy ones to find. But we have so many gifts that sometimes they're not meant to come out into the light of day until a certain point in your soul contract. Yeah. So go for the easy ones first, the low hanging fruit, if you will. Go, identify those. Identify those, and the more often you use them, that reflection in the mirror, you're going to be able to see a lot clearer, I think. Margaret is saying the thunder rolled here with the poem. Yeah. Yep. Margaret, where are you at? What state are you in? Are you in Michigan or where are you at? I forget. Because the storms that went through here this morning, let's see, it's on 10. Yeah, it's been probably a good hour since they rolled through. I was just wondering where you were at. Okay, so the hawk, what is called for here is an intuitive ability to discern the messages carried by the cry of the hawk. It says, ask, the shrillness of the hawk's call pierces the state of unawareness and asks you to seek the truth. Seek the truth. To seek your true reflection that you're seeing. Past the illusion. They have really good eyesight too. And, there was at one point, I was driving to La Crosse, which is about 45 minutes from here, and I was seeing hawk after hawk sitting, not flying, but sitting in trees. All looking at me. Not with their back to me, but all looking at me. So I was talking to my spiritual team and saying, okay, what's this all about? Because I saw 8 of them. There was a lot. And so what I was getting from all of that is that when a hawk sits in a tree, they're usually scanning their environment because they're hunting, right? And they have really good eyesight. And they usually sit someplace where they can see some distance. And so they can see what's coming toward them. And so it gives them time to react. And so that's what I was being shown, is that if I sit still and I observe, I will see what I need to see coming to me, towards me, and then I can react. Yeah. So the last hawk that I saw that day was a hawk flying. It wasn't flying right in front of me, but enough off to the side that I could see it while I was driving. And we were heading in the same direction. So for me, that was a sign that I understood the message And now it was up to me to employ it, to use it. Yeah. Hawk medicine. She also writes that if Hawk has circled and landed in your card spread, you are to be aware of signals in your life. Signals, signs. You have an opportunity to grab what's coming your way. And there's a part here that says, Hawk has a keen eye and a bold heart, for Hawk flies close to the light of the grandfather's sun. And there's this word, this phrase that she used in this one, is for you to be aware, and for you to beware. And I never really paid much attention to something like that in the writing recently. And that is be aware, 2 separate words, or beware, 1 word. So the Hawk gives us both, is to be able to be aware of your surroundings, see what's around you, but also, if necessary, to beware and pay attention to the information that's coming to you. Hawk medicine. So Hawk medicine can help us with understanding the Great Smoking Mirror and how to see past the illusion and to see the reflection, the true reflection, to bust that myth of ours. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit. Amy says, I don't think you can clear. Okay. I did that one. And Lisa said, thanks and hugs to you and your mom. You're an awesome teacher. Can't wait to see you. Well, thank you so much, Elise. I appreciate that. I do. You're so sweet. Yeah, Elisa's coming to a class that we're doing here in Wisconsin. It'll be good to meet you in person too. Yep, and we did it. I told Mama I'm going to try to be down there before 11. So with the information that we talked about, and it was big medicine. Just take what resonates with you, right? What felt good, and hold it close to you today. Watch how the energy flows to you, right? Be the hawk. Look, be still and look out and see what your environment brings to you. What signs, what synchronicities. Be aware of the reflection of what you're seeing reflected from others and what you're reflecting to someone else, you know? Yeah. And if whatever didn't resonate with you, that's okay. Just let it go. Now, maybe that part wasn't for you, or maybe it was just about planting a seed. And when you're ready to take a look at that one or to hear it again, it'll come by you again some other way, somehow. So enjoy the rest of your day. Please join Holly in 10 minutes for chakra sessions. And it's going to be a good one. And then my show later this evening at 8 Eastern, we're going to be doing the Unity Breath meditation this evening. So have a good day. And yep, we got to discern too. That's for sure. All right. So have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow, okay, for the card draw in Bama Mina until we see each other again.